boys and girls, and welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to talk about some effective methods and practical methods that you could use to improve your memories in courses like sciences, biology, history, and it's going to help you save time when you're studying and you're going to feel smarter and more awesome. So if you're excited, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and let's get started. Now this video is very helpful for people who have ADHD, and it's very good for people who struggle with their memory. Nowadays, a lot of us, because we're constantly distracted with our phones and we have easy access to information, we don't really practice our memory anymore. So we're kind of losing touch with that. So if you're sitting in class and our teacher is talking and writing on the board, at the end we don't need to really pay attention in class. We don't really have to try to hold the memory in our brain. At the end of the day, we're just going to take a picture of the board and we're just going to take it home and look at it, right? So we're not really practicing our memory. So let's say if I asked you about an actor that you really liked and we saw in a movie last year. If you don't remember it, you're just going to type in a couple of words about that movie and the name of the actor is just going to pop up. So the reason that we need to pay attention to our memory is because we're losing touch with it, and it's really important to actually train our brain and train our memory and make sure we don't lose touch with it in this day and time. So let's say if you actually have ADHD like me and I'm sitting in class and I'm listening to a lecture and my teacher is teaching me about quadratic functions. If somebody walks in the class and then 5 minutes after my teacher is going to talk about quadratic function again, I'm just gonna be completely lost. I won't remember anything anymore. It's because us with ADHD struggle most with our working memory, which is the memory we use to hold short-term information. And that's exactly what I'm going to be focusing on in this video, on how to improve our working memory. By the way, if you haven't met yet, my name is Seppi and I'm the founder of Helix Academy in Toronto. In this channel, I share the best practical and research tips for you to become limitless in and outside of school. So if you find my content interesting, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell button so you never miss a video from me. Okay, so let's talk about your memory. Let's talk about all the memories you've had in the past year and just try to pick 2 of them and tell me about them. Right? Pause the video, really think about it, and if you actually look back, you're going to remember all the really exciting memories or things that you were sad about or things that were really odd and shocking and out of the ordinary. So you will remember those memories the best. So we're going to use this to remember our lessons in history and math and biology, and the way we're going to use that is that we're going to make sure we link emotions to that concept, and I'm just going to give you 2 examples on how to do that exactly. Okay guys, it's story time. So let's think about this story. John was napping and turning in his bed. Then he gets woken up by Brian from the Family Guy. Brian has a big mole on his face and he has a runny nose. So Brian from the Family Guy has a big mole on his face and a runny nose. Then Brian tells John that let's go camping, and they're gonna go to a camp, and in the camp there is a big bell. And then they look around, and in their actual tent there is a pair of jeans with a Bible on it. As they exit the tent, they come out and there's a Walmart, which reminds you of Walmart. And then as they go closer to Walmart, they see that some guy is sitting on a chair and is playing the harp. And as they go closer and closer, they see in the audience is Justin Trudeau standing there and listening to the guy who's playing the harp. Now, I use this story to memorize the past 7 Prime Ministers of Canada. So let's kind of go back and see what happened. In the beginning of the story, John was napping and turning, and that's John Napier Turner. And then we had Brian with a big mole and a runny nose, and that's, for me, Brian Mulrooney. And then they go to camping and they see a bell, and that's, for me, is Kim Campbell. And then outside there's a Walmart, and that reminds me of Paul Martin. And if you remember, somebody was playing the harp in front of Walmart, and that was Stephen Harper. And then the last Prime Minister, of course, my favorite, is Justin Trudeau. So I use this method to memorize the past 7 Prime Ministers of Canada, and if I can do this with this list, you could do it with anything. If you speak a different language except for English, it actually makes it easier because you can actually remember things better. But if you only know English, you can get creative and try to remember as many words as you can and make this story as emotional and outrageous as you can. But let's try the next one. I was actually reading a book called The Procrastination Fix, and it actually classifies the procrastinators in 6 different types and categories. So I'm just going to list them right here. And if you can, pause this video and try to make up a story for you to remember these 6 categories. So this is the story I made up to remember the 6 categories. So I pictured the most perfect little room. It's white with the slightest hint of pink. It's very organized, and I'm just sleeping there dreaming. I wake up from a dream and I start worrying because I hear noises. I go downstairs and there's a crisis happening. People are running around, things are breaking, people are destroying each other. And then I see some people that are hiding in the corner and they're just, hiding from everything, and they're defiers. And I see other people who are trying to really help around and doing a lot of things and fixing stuff, and they're constantly working. So for me, that room is the perfectionist, and me dreaming is the dreamer. And then I start worrying and coming down, and when I go downstairs, I see the crisis happening, and that's the crisis maker. And then I see people that are hiding in the corners, which are the defiers, and people that are doing so much are the overdoers. And you see how simple it is to remember anything that are as of importance. Now, remembering this story is also going to be a trick, but you know what? It helps you more. So if you were going to remember 30%, you're going to remember at least 80 to 90%, if not 100%. Okay, so I really hope this strategy really helped you put in a strategy together for the next time you're trying to memorize things. Make sure you apply that and let me know how you find it. At the same time, I'm going to give you more tips to improve your memory even more. Drawing picture is so important, especially if you have ADHD. If you're solving a math and physics question, it's very important to always draw a picture of whatever scenario it is. It could be a ladder laying against the wall. It could be 2 objects colliding. It could be, I'm throwing a ball. Whatever is happening in the question, I want you to take the time and draw a picture for it before you proceed into solving it. By the way, if you struggle with math, I made a whole video on how to study math with ADHD. I will leave it in the cards and in the description. Make sure you check that out. I'm sure you will love that video. For other courses like geography, if there's a map to be learned, you want to make sure you draw that with your own hands. Just looking at a map and trying to go over it and memorizing it is not going to work. If you're going to learn the map of Europe, which I don't think to this day I know, you're going to want to draw it repeatedly until you really learn it. Literally for anything in life, writing and drawing pictures are the only way that our brain is going to learn anything and remember it. So make sure you draw pictures as many times as you can for anything that you can. It will really put things together for you. Taking notes, as long as it doesn't distract you from what's going on in class, I think is really, really important. Now, I don't mean taking notes word by word. Taking notes has a specific art, and I'm just going to post another video on how to actually take proper notes, but I want you to just jot down the important little things that your teacher says in class that you want to look up after. I know they give out the lectures online. I know they give you sheets with everything they're going to talk about, but I want you to get into a habit of writing important things down, because especially in university and college, you're not going to have access to everything, and it's really important to pick out what's important in class and write it down. A lot of psychologists and doctors who work with patients who have ADHD recommend them to having a notebook on their side. I have my notebook with me all the time. I jot down new ideas, to-do lists, and everything in my notebook. That's also really good to have, so make sure you keep that in mind. Cue cards are also a very good important tool that can help you with memorization. The only way to understand why cue cards and taking notes are so important is that we need to understand how a brain actually works. A brain learns by repetition only. There's no way for somebody to get a deeper understanding of anything if they don't have enough information and they haven't repeated that information enough time. So if someone's smarter than you, they either have more information or they've repeated that information more and longer. So what you need to focus on repeating, taking notes, and repeating over and over again until that material goes into your long-term memory and you learn how to access it quickly. So what I want you to do on the first day when you start taking your biology or your history course, I want you to make those cue cards. I want you to highlight them, make them pretty, organize them, and leave them for later so you could review them again. It's going to bring me to another point, which is reviewing. I'm going to talk about that later in the video, but for now, I want you to make cue cards. By the way, let me know in the comments if you do use cue cards already or not, if you find them helpful at all, or what tips you have for all the other students or kids that are watching this video on making cue cards. So get a little bit deeper and help us with your tips. Diet, exercise, and sleep play a huge role in our working memory, and I think it's great and it has a huge effect for everybody, but people with ADHD benefit from this extremely. I'm so passionate about this that I've actually created a free program for you guys that you can download by clicking the link in the description below. This program will help you add really good, nutritious, and brain food to your diet, and it helps you eliminate the bad ones. It lets you track your progress, and it's absolutely for free. So make sure you download that and follow it. Okay guys, as my last point, let's talk about reviewing. And the reason you need to pay attention for this is because it's going to help you stay motivated and help you understand the science behind it. So let's talk about this curve. So this is a forgetting curve of a person with no ADHD. As you can see, after a day, they will lose 30% of the information that they learned if they don't review it. And after 5 days, they will lose 80% of it. And after a month, they will remember nearly nothing. So what we need to do is to make sure we regularly review all the material that we learn in order to hold on to them in our memory. I really hope that this gives you an idea of how important it is to review the material, so make sure you follow this tip. If you guys learned anything from this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you let me know what you'd like to see next. Subscribe for more videos. Hit the bell button and make sure you stay tuned for more videos. I really, really appreciate you being on my channel, watching this video, and being a part of my YouTube journey. Love you all. See you later.